Welcome to Money and Impact. I'm Suzanne Caldeira, a mortgage lender. Have been doing mortgage lending for nearly 24 years. Money is one part of the title. I deal with so many aspects of money, of how people figure out the money that they need for their down payment or to maintain their properties or issues that they encounter. And then impact is the other name in my title, because throughout the course of my life and business, I've been able to meet some impactful people, and I have the delight of sitting with one of those that hits on the money piece as well as the impact piece, and that's my guest today, Jay Mchugh.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, Suzanne. Appreciate it.
And for those that are watching, Jay is a dear person to me and someone that I consider a mentor and someone that I look up to, that's had an extraordinary career, an extraordinary run in real estate and in coaching and personal development. Well, why don't you share a little bit? Where are you originally from?
Originally from Dedham, Massachusetts, and moved to West Roxbury, Boston, and then found myself up in Lowell, and my wife and I are now settled in Littleton, Massachusetts.
And what drew you to get into real estate in the beginning?
Oh, I always wanted to help people. I was framed on becoming a defense attorney, and I was finishing up school, studying for the law, LAC, LALS, law. What do they call it?
I think it's the LSAT,
LSAT,
right?
yeah. They've changed the score and everything else. But when I was working as a foreclosure paralegal downtown Boston, I noticed a lot of attorneys struggling in terms of burning out. The recession hit. They had come from good pedigree families, and I looked at it and I said, I don't have that kind of background. I don't want to struggle for 10 years. But I still wanted to do something entrepreneurial, which opened up the gateway for real estate. And I got my real estate license in '92, struggled as everybody else did, hustled, bartending, doing all kinds of odd jobs, and then I just decided to say, enough's enough. And I literally went on my own to say, I'm not going to listen to my broker owner, I'm just going to listen to what others are doing successfully. I threw a big investment down for some coaching, and I haven't looked back. And that was the best thing, is investing in yourself.
And that's the interesting thing, because sometimes people will see coaching as an expense. Did you have it in your mindset that it was an investment in yourself right away?
100%, simply because, I mean, you can go to the library, which people don't go to. You can borrow a book. You can get thousands and tens of thousands of dollars of ideas, return the book, and now you're better than your competition. If you continue to do that, exercise that kind of mentality, you'll be far off better. Now, when you stop, your competition catches up to you, and then you start singing, woe is me, et cetera, et cetera. So you never, $5, you never stop learning. You always have to be continuously learning to stay up with the marketplace, but also just to charge that battery every morning.
Well, you've had some extreme highs, some extreme lows, and everything in between. What has kept you going through those dark times? Because and depending on when this airs, I think that we ought to still be in that stagnant type of space, with some realtors just not, getting their traction and whatnot. So what would you say to somebody like that that's at a low point?
Well, the thing you have to do is you have to keep moving. You have to keep grinding. You have to have systems in place. The worst thing you can do is jump from one ship to another ship and hope and pray and never put a full investment into that particular area. But if you create good habits, which we've talked about before, some people get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go to the gym. Some people wake up at 11 o'clock and then go to the gym at 2 o'clock, and then they say they don't have enough time in the day to do anything. That's not a good habit, but they're thinking that they're doing something beneficial. I would recommend that people look at their habits and make sure that they're good habits, and then use those habits, surround yourself with other like-minded people like yourself, and then just lean on that. I always tell people I love coaching and I love giving back because it sharpens my ability to become better. If we just hold on to that information, it's okay. But if we can share it, we're exercising, helping others, but we're sharpening our own saw.
And when you chose a coach, how long were you with that coach?
Well, each coach can be different. It depends on what their lifeline is themselves, whether they retire. But I've had coaches for 10 years and I've had coaches for 2 years. And nothing wrong with it, but you graduate based on what you've seen or what you've heard or what is going on in the market, or maybe some of their own actions decide, okay, this is becoming redundant. But the key is that there's, with the internet today, there's enough information out there for anybody to find themselves in alignment and then put that into action. I had this occasion to meet a very high-end celebrity, and she said, imagination without implementation is truly hallucination. And everybody has great ideas, but do they implement them? When they have a great idea, they lack and don't implement them, they're really worse off than if they never heard that great idea, because they think that they're using it. Similar to the person who has a gym membership. I have a gym membership, therefore I can always go to the gym. You're better off not having a gym membership, because then you'll be more conscious about what you're eating and what you're doing, etc. Than if you have a gym membership and never go, then you can get off the sideline and start doing things that you shouldn't be doing because you still have a gym membership. And that's the problem, I think, in society, is that we all have great ideas, but without the implementation of it and putting it into action, it's more dangerous.
Now, what drew you to go into the route of owning a brokerage as opposed to saying, hey, is that $5 too? You'll have to
No,
explain that.
no,
Just is an okay word?
Just is fine. Yeah.
We'll definitely have to explain that to the viewers. But what drew you to go the route of becoming a broker owner as opposed to becoming the mega agent? Not that you never were a mega agent, but what I mean about that is owning a brokerage and owning a lot of brokerages.
True. Similar to anything, particularly in the real estate space, is that sometimes you think that you're better off being the commander as opposed to just helping people. And the market has shifted in many different ways, good, bad, and different, with different recessions. But I think without question, my gift is helping others in whatever industry it might be, whether it's the mortgage or the real estate, entrepreneurial, the networking chapters that are out there in the world, etc. It's just making sure that when you wake up every single morning, if you can give something to someone and make their life more valuable, that's better. Now, sometimes people chase that shiny object thinking it's better to own a brokerage. It might not be better for them. It might be better off that they just have a team or a big team or a small team. So those are some questions that are always up and down in the area. But the real key thing is to say to yourself, are you making a difference and are you helping people? And that's what gives me joy.
And you've helped me a ton throughout the course of my career. I mean, I think we're nearing over 15 years that you've been in my orbit. Yeah. And you've helped me. You've helped me with how I present myself, how I speak. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have to tell the viewers, what's this $5 thing?
Well, here's a great story. When I was working as a foreclosure paralegal downtown, I was dating a beautiful girl. Her father was an attorney, and we had a good relationship. And he would ask me how the weekend was. And I would say, hey, this was great. Suzanne and I went out to this place, and we met our friend Bob. And then Bob had a story, and then Bob goes, and then he tells a story, and then Suzanne goes and tells a story. And then he stopped me. He says, where are all these people going, Jay? And I said, what are you talking about? Well, you said Bob goes, and then Suzanne goes, and then you go. Where are they all going? You mean Suzanne agreed, Suzanne exclaimed, Suzanne remarked, Bob said, Bob repeated, you agreed. If you're going to be an attorney and you keep using the word goes, the judge will throw you out of his courtroom. You have to learn how to speak well, Jay. And I said, wow, that was a good kick in the ass. And from there, I learned that in any profession, in any business, the better that you can speak and articulate, you're one up on your competition. I appreciate you asking this because I'm getting comfortable by sharing something that is annoying right now. If anybody's a sports fan and they listen to talk radio, the popular ones, we won't have to name them, but you listen to the people who speak poorly and they use the word like and so more times than necessary, and also to a point where it's annoying to hear their point. Like Tom Brady is going to so many people are disagreeing with him, like they should be putting in Drake May, like I disagree. And I sit there and I say, wow, if they just stopped and thought about what they just said, they'd be more proactive to say, thank you, Suzanne, for having me here. I greatly appreciate it. And I call it a PP, pregnant pause. Instead of saying, thank you, Suzanne, for having me here, like this is the greatest studio I've ever been. So how did you get this place? Just fill of bullshit words that we don't need. Therefore, when I coach agents and I say, when you're speaking to someone for a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, and you're using words that become, honestly, I can't trust you, and to be honest with you, I like your home. I've just used words that also we don't use. Top 10 words I tell people, like, so, to be honest with you, honestly, right? All those words are filler words that weaken the presentation of the person who's speaking. And if you think about the people who are making goo-goo bucks on TV, NBC, CBS, primetime, watch and listen how they speak. And the people locally on radio and TV, in the bar rooms, in the water coolers, listen to how they speak. And then you can make that jump to say, I don't want to be that person. And I thank Richard Gould for kicking me in the ass in 1992 and putting me on the right track. Now, some people think I'm obnoxious by it, and I say, well, you're right. That word might work in that situation. But keep in mind, we have a thesaurus in a dictionary that has 8 billion words out there. Why use one that could bring you back into that negative zone? For example, when someone says, I used that correctly, Jay, you're wrong. I say, well, it's similar to someone who's trying to stop smoking and goes into an Irish bar where they allow smoking, and they just sniff the secondhand smoke. That's like $5. Bringing someone to a restaurant for an open bar when they're trying to lessen their alcohol usage. Therefore, you just don't go there. Hopefully, I didn't go off on a tangent.
It's, again, having this time with you, any time that I get with you, I'm the student. Although it is my show, I'm being a student of interviewing you. Yeah. And you went the route, besides being a broker owner, of also implementing appreciation into your business. And that was one of the things that was an attraction to get to know you better before I knew you, of, wow, look at what he's doing. Talk to them, or talk to the viewers about that.
Great segue, because back in the day when you're struggling, I had a mentor down in Virginia, and he said, Jay, I'm going to coach you for a week, and what I want you to do is grab 10 birthdays a day and put it into your database. And I said, that seems daunting. How am I going to get those birthdays? That's your challenge. And I learned how to get them by conversations. Today you have Facebook. Today you can find birthdays pretty easily. Some people don't want to know the birthdays, but the point was, now that you have those birthdays, Jay, keep making it a habit, and then after a year, you'll have over 3,000 birthdays. How powerful will your database be and your relationships be if you're sending them out a birthday card, because nobody else does that? And it dawned on me, this is 1996, that this guy has the key to building and deepening relationships. Now, fast forward to 2024, the same thing happens, is that the person who says they don't need a birthday card, I sent them an Instagram. They don't need a birthday gift. They have gifts all year round. Well, if you want to separate yourself from your competition, the best way you can do it is be extraordinary. Seth Godin, be remarkable. To become remarkable, you have to get people to remark about you. If you're sending them a card unexpectedly, because their mother, their brother, their sister, their girlfriend, their husband, their partner, their boss doesn't, you'll immediately move up the food chain in kindness, in authenticity. And it's amazing how people laugh at me, and I say, this is interesting. My birthday's coming up October 16th. This gentleman that I'm going to talk about right now, Scott True. Why am I talking about Scott True? Well, he sold his house in Hyde Park with me. He moves down to Naples. I don't hear from him for 25 years. He goes on Facebook, he sees all my pictures of my daughter. He sees that I have a birthday, and he sent me a beautiful birthday card last year. I called him up, we had a relationship. Now he runs a $300 million real estate portfolio, and yesterday I got my first birthday card, and it was from Scott. And I called him up, and I had an occasion to call him up because of Florida and the hurricanes and everything else, just checking in on him. And I said, you're a good guy, you're an amazing guy. He said, you and my dad taught me this, Jay, and it's not going to make me broke, but we're talking right now because I sent a card to you, and you're good at following up, and picked up the phone and checked on me and my family. Wow. Now, when I teach this to agents, they sit there and they say, well, I can't do that, I'm not good on the phone. Well, then your competition thanks you.
I love that.
You've got to do the things that are uncomfortable, and then they become very comfortable. And that's how you protect your business from allowing your competition to penetrate your business. And I don't know, I've had a great in real estate, and 99% has been from referral business. But I've sold houses up in Lake Winnipesaukee. I just put a house under agreement in Orleans, Massachusetts, and everything in between. And I don't work that hard, but I do work hard on the relationship to make the person know me, trust me, like me, and want to do business with me, as opposed to in this generational, I'm going to check on Google and see what person I can get to work with me for a fee that's less than what you're quoting, blah, blah, blah. And you understand it. You're in that business when people sit there and they try to challenge your fee and your value proposition. You're at your level saying goodbye. Mm-hmm. And we don't get the goodbyes when we work on the relationship, because we don't have to work in that area. We work in the area where we're focusing on not just building relationships, but doing a great job and being cognizant and being habitual to do what we do to get people to say, I want to work with Suzanne, I want to work with Jay, I want to work with the person that cares about me and doesn't treat me such as a commodity.
And what is it about many realtors, because you know the whole 80-20 rule or 90-10, why is there such a big gap on those that just don't do these basics? Why do you think that?
It's a great question. It could be because there's a plethora of good, bad, and indifferent marketing, coaching, etc. People are chasing that shiny object instead of focusing on. One of my great teachers, Joe Stump, back in the day said, why would you want to work with a suspect, turn him into a prospect, possibly a customer, build them into a client, and then make them into a screaming, raving fan? Why don't you start with the clients that you already have? And I came up with the argument to say, when we're spraying a garden with a hose or a sprinkler, we're not only watering the plants, but we're watering the weeds. And the weeds will choke out the plants. Why not just focus your time by just watering the plants, and then the weeds will die, dehydration? And to answer your question, when anybody puts something out onto Instagram or Facebook or the internet, and they have all these promises about delivering results, in the real estate space we have everybody, Tom, Dick, and Harry, saying 7%, 20%, 30% referral fee only when you close, and we have 15 guaranteed leads that we can give you this month. And I say, we don't have 15 listings in this zip code this month. How can you make these promises? But what happens to me is I get stronger to realize my competition might take that bait. I'm just going to put more emphasis on my database. And people have said, your database, your network will determine your net worth. And I have this saying, you should focus on the 200 people that would come to your wake, 200 people that come to your funeral, or more positively, the 200 people that would come to your wedding. Because those are the ones that are dear and near to hear from you. And if they're hearing from you, then they want to be a screaming, raving fan and give back to you in the form of a referral, introduction, or you've got to work with Suzanne. You've got to work with Jay. They're just that good. Well, that's what we're shooting for. Because that person who comes to us is now a client who will become a screaming, raving fan instead of a suspect that we have to turn into someone who believes in us.
Do you have a structure on when you ask for business, when you're engaging with your past clients?
Frankly speaking, I don't ask for business. Actions get me the business. And I know we won't name it, but there's some trainers out there that have turned in a gratitude card into a solicitation card. And they're the ones that fuel my fire, because I believe that they've turned these folks into becoming better average realtors. We love golf. Suzanne and I love golf, and I have this great analogy for people. Suzanne and I were playing, and then I stop and I say, let's have a bet. Who's a better golfer after 30 days practicing just 1 hour a day? And of course, I'm a 9 handicapper, and Suzanne is an 18 handicapper. And the audience says, well, it's easy, Jay, you will be. And I said, well, not necessarily. See, I went out and I practiced with my friends who were all 9 and 8 and 10 handicappers. I got better at being a 9 handicapper. Suzanne was smart. She's an 18. She invested and hired the best golf coach in the New England area. And she went from an 18 to a 4 handicap and kicked my ass. Because she started practicing the better behaviors and actions to become a better golfer. And to answer your question, I tell realtors, agents, mortgage folks, entrepreneurs, networking people, small business owners, if you continue to practice in the way that you've been getting the business and not accelerating it, why would you expect a better result? And that's where you have to hone in your skills and say to yourself, you know, I have people who use my system and I can't get out as many cards as you do. Then take a typing class. Hire a virtual assistant. Don't give me these excuses because I'll eat them for lunch. If you want to get better, you will do this. If you want to get better, you'll go to the gym. If you want to lose weight, you will listen to your nutritionist. Don't just sometimes do it. And I think that's the answer, is that average real estate agents are afraid to dip their toe into the water, to speak better, to have the fear of talking to people, to have the fear of going up to people that they don't know, and they'll do it some other time in the future. But if they did it now, they'd be one step above their competition. And we hope for them to do that. And if they don't, hey, there's a job at a furniture store that they're looking for you. Get out of the business.
Well, there's the act as if, and times when my habits aren't good, I will sometimes say to myself, what does that X million-dollar producer do? What would they do in a situation like this? And sometimes that'll compel me to have better habits. How many agents do you currently have?
My wife and I have approximately 1,000 agents, and she's done a great job in the back-end office of just putting this together, and it's feeding off of other people, like-minded people. Real estate's a business that it's not for everybody in every office, but it's building the culture, providing the systems and the tools, and letting people be entrepreneurial. We're going to see a major shift in the next 12 months, not just because of the NAR, not just because of the new presidency who might get in. It's because a lot of different factors that the real estate market has gone up, and some people have never seen it go down. We've been in 3-4 recessions, myself and yourself, and you start to say to yourself, someone posted something on Facebook saying that days on market are up over 2,000% year over year. And I said to them, being Jay, great, the skillful realtor will do better. And other good news, the weak realtor will get out of the business and go sell furniture at a warehouse someplace. That's good. And it's a reality that if people continuously work on their skill, they'll have a job for life. It's when they get lazy, when they saw the market double, and they didn't learn how to answer an objection, RDR, reactionary defense response. What do you do when somebody says, I'm not ready to buy? You say, I agree with you, not the right time. You will not win someone over by beginning in a disagreement. That's another great coach trainer that has taught me something that took me 30 years to learn. You cannot win your wife, your spouse, your daughter, your dog if you begin with a disagreement. And if you stop and think of it, some people will argue with me and say, well, that's not being authentic. Well, you didn't let me finish. You're agreeing with their position at that time. Now it's your job to give them the information, the food, the nutrition, to make them see your situation. That's interesting, Jay. It is. That's why I studied it, because I was also someone who did not agree with that principle. But now I understand that you will not win somebody over if you begin by disagreement. They'll just put their heels in deeper. Powerful stuff. It's free. It's on the internet. It's in the libraries. Will a realtor use it? Will they practice it? Will a mortgage person use it? Hey, I don't like your rate, $5. I don't think your rate is competitive. I agree with you. You do? Yeah. Any other questions? Well, why would you agree with me? Well, I don't know all your situation. If you want to, whereas I say the other way, disagree with you. There's no way that someone could be offering that rate. Well, I just put up a barrier. And it's going to be much more difficult for you to overcome that barrier. And I teach this to folks, saying that you're not just going to win this by 20 minutes of me talking to you. You've got to practice that. And when you practice that, whether it's at a bar, at a restaurant, at a dry cleaner, at the food store, at the movie theater, that's where the coaching comes in. That's where the natural coaching can come in, because there's ample opportunity for you. Small thing, garbage man comes through the neighborhood. Every Friday I make him breakfast.
Do you?
Yeah. He hasn't charged me in 4 years. And I did not do that to get no charge. But somehow he doesn't care of telling somebody because he's playing with the dogs. He's getting a ham and egg sandwich. I mix it up, bottle of water, trick treats, have a conversation with them, and he gets back in his truck and he says, "It's a lonely job, Jay. I love coming to your street." Well, there's a tip. How about the post lady, the postman? How about the UPS guy? How about the Federal Express guy? These are practices that people can do to build up that muscle to then when they get out there in their competitive world, they'll be able to say, "I've done this before." And that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that,
And
opening that up.
well, and it's the epitome of Barry Habib wrote a book. I haven't
Sure.
read the book, but he's an immigrant kid, and it's called Money in the Streets. There's money everywhere.
Yeah.
It's abundant. It's just you got to be looking for it more. And many in the sales profession, whether it be mortgage or real estate, they may just be looking like this, as opposed to
Right.
that garbage man story. That's pure gold right there. And you didn't do it. You didn't do it this way of I'm doing this just so that he
100%, and that's the giver's gain philosophy, or that's your grandmother or your mother who taught you correctly, you know, and after First Communion, write thank you cards. And it's kind of gone away, whether our generation or our parents today look at it and say, just Instagram them, or just say, we can get into another occasion of that. But focusing on business, people enjoy working with people that they like, trust, and have a relationship with. If you're a business person struggling, work on having people like you, trust you, and create that relationship with them. And then you'll get more business than you ever thought. And then you can systematize it, whether it's virtual assistants or whether it's hiring team members, etc. But that's the right start to get off the sofa, get rid of the woe is me attitude, and get out there and kill it.
And with that, I think that this is an amazing way to end. And for more information on today's guest, please make sure to watch the credits. And this is Money and Impact, and this is Suzanne Caldeira. Thanks for watching.